Quinn, I want you to take us back to you when you were starting quarterback at the University of Arkansas. Your nerves each season heading up to week one, what were they like, and just how are you emotionally during those weeks?
Well, I think those nerves change each year. You come in and as a freshman, you're the backup and you've got a senior in front of you, and then you start thinking a little bit differently, like, okay, what happens if he gets hurt? And then that happened, and then so I had to go ahead and change my mindset as well with that. And then you get through the freshman year and you move to the sophomore year, and now you're fighting for your job, and you end up winning the job, and now you've got to find a way to think differently. You don't have a senior-laden guy in the room. Everybody's looking to you, and KJ's dealing with the same thing. He had Felipe, and now it's his show. So you've got to find a way to lead within your personality, and not try to be Felipe, and for me, not try to be Greg Thomas, and just do it with the way I needed to do it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of nerves going into the first game, especially when you're the quarterback at the University of Arkansas, because it is so important to everyone. Everybody's watching it, and you know that as the quarterback, everybody's going to be rating your performance on the drive home. I mean, you just got to understand it. You just got to know that the state is going to live and breathe by the way you play. And so it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of pressure on the first-year starter, but I think KJ is ready to handle it.
So when you look at KJ himself, I know there were some jokes that he came in a little overweight into fall camp, and he's talked about that others. Quinn, what strengths do you think he has over Felipe, and what are some areas that you think that he has to improve on to get to Felipe's status?
Well, I mean, two of the easy things. One, I think the one thing he has over Felipe is he'll be able to run that option game a whole lot stronger than Felipe. Now, I think Felipe got here and he surprised us. I didn't think Felipe was going to be able to move the way he did last year. But I think running that option, and when backers and defensive backs are going to have to make a big decision whether or not they want to come up and tackle big. And so he'll be much more effective, I think, in the run game, which will allow Treylon Smith, Rocket Sanders, all those guys to be a little bit more effective. Then I think that also will open up some stuff for the wide receivers and Treylon Burks, because that safety is going to have to come down and do some things differently if that run game is effective at the quarterback position as I think it will be. I think the thing he's got to improve, though, is he completed 48% of his passes. He needs to get to 65. I think that's where Kendall wants him. If he gets there, if he's completing balls like that and running that option, I think Arkansas is going to be very, very tough offensively.
Yeah. Quinn, I want to go back to your playing days when Rice was a familiar opponent, a conference opponent every year, and just looking at some of those games, you had a lot of success against Rice, but Rice also got a win over the 1990 team as well, 19-11.
You had to bring that up, Tom.
We got to dabble in facts every now and then. You just got to dabble in a few facts. But what are some of your memories against Rice? Because I think a lot of people just think they're a pushover and they hadn't played them in 30 years since 91. They're not a Power 5 team, but Rice is a program that, many years ago, Arkansas had the better of them most of the time, but there were a few times they slipped up on the Razorbacks.
Well, I don't think Rice, and I don't think the Razorbacks are at a point where they can overlook anybody. I think they're fighting for every win, and they're moving in the right direction, and I'm proud of where they're going. So they shouldn't be overlooking them. I will say back then, it's almost like, I don't want to say we overlooked them, but we always treated them like a bye week. And that was we were really good back then in the Southwest Conference, and Rice was not very good then. And they did beat us in 1990. But right now, you can't overlook anybody. And I don't think anybody in that locker room is saying, hey, this is Rice. And a lot of people in the locker room don't even know about Rice. I mean, they may have heard about the school or what have you, but this team is sneaky. It's very, very sneaky. And so I'm sure Sam Pittman and this staff has got their attention. The thing that scares you about it is, you play a big name team in Texas the following week. So you want to go out and give your best effort and give those fans, something to be excited about heading into that week 2.
What's the most important thing to analyze from this game? Is it line of scrimmage play and being able to win that battle and get a push? Because I know a lot of people focus on KJ and his numbers, and if Burks is able to play his numbers, and Treylon Burks and his rushing. To me, Quinn, if you don't get that push against Rice and you're not pushing the other team back a yard or two on the snap, that doesn't fare well for the next week.
Yeah, I think you're right about it. I mean, the first goal is to get the W. But the second goal, Tommy, I think you're right about that, especially when you have everybody on that offensive line coming back from last year. So I think that is something to really look for. Can this offensive line get a push versus them? Because if they can't get a push versus Rice, then it's going to be very difficult as you continue to move through SEC play. So I think you should see a distinct advantage for Arkansas in the offensive front. I think you should see a distinct advantage for Arkansas in the defensive front. To me, that's where you have to win in the SEC in the trenches, and I think Arkansas got better at the defensive line. I think with a year of being together from last year, I think the offensive line will be better as well. So, yeah, I think on both sides of the line, Tommy, I think you need to see Arkansas have a great day.
Quinn Grovey with us here on the Morning Rush, former Razorback quarterback, now a part of the Arkansas football podcast. Quinn, we've heard comparisons of Malik Hornsby to yourself, and those are a little lofty considering all the things you accomplished at the U of A, and Malik has only played a handful of plays. But from the practices you've seen, from what you've heard about this young man, what kind of element and dynamic could he bring from a running perspective to Kendall Browse's offense?
He's a home run hitter. I mean, if you lose contain, or if you allow him to hit that backside A gap or B gap, or the safety doesn't fill the hole properly, it's a home run. I mean, he can get out and absolutely run. And so I think that's a big thing for this offense with Malik Hornsby whenever he comes into the football game. So he's dynamic that way. He has a strong arm. He just got to get a little bit more accurate. And once he compiles the accuracy as well as running the football, man, he'll be a dangerous guy in certain packages.
Quinn, I think a lot of people are wondering about the status of Treylon Burks. I got a weird feeling that he's not going to play on Saturday. Yeah. How much of a loss would that be for the Arkansas offense if he isn't able to go?
Well, it's only your best player. I mean, so
is that all?
That's it? All-American? First-round draft pick?
Yeah. It's only your best player. So, I think Sam and this staff, they've done some really good things in training camp where some of their best players, Stromberg and Burks and Smith, they had to be out. And so they had to come up with periods and packages of, okay, if they're not playing, who are we going to fill the void with? So I think they're prepared for that. And when you're a team like Arkansas that's searching for depth that's going to match everybody in the SEC, you've got to be able to try to put people in situations where they have to come into the game and perform. And so I don't know if he's going to play or not either. I mean, Sam seemed to be a little concerned about it, but, hopefully you'll be able to go out there and take care of Rice anyway. And I think you've got enough depth at the wide receiver position to be able to do that. So, losing him is always a problem. Mm-hmm. But I think Sam and the staff are already thinking about that from a depth perspective because they know that it's hard to go with your ones the entire year. And Arkansas is still trying to build depth that's going to allow you to be competitive. If it was Alabama or somebody, they'd be like, okay, we're just plugging in number 2 and we're going to introduce you to number 2. And so that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah. As a quarterback, how does that mess with your head when your best player isn't out there, the guy you rely on? And sometimes that's the left tackle, sometimes it's the wide receiver in this case. But as a quarterback, what's the mental process of getting to that point that, all right, we're going to be fine without our best player?
Yeah, and there's certain dynamics in your mind, Tommy, especially when you're the quarterback. I mean, you're thinking, okay, I'm talking to Treylon
you're a quarterback. You think you're the best player, first of all. So now how does a quarterback deal without the second best player? Because the quarterback always thinks he's the best player. I forgot about that.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, if you look at a guy like Treylon Burks, you know that he can bail you out of certain situations. Mm-hmm. There are 50-50 balls that you may throw to him. There are certain things you will do with him that you won't do with other players.
Right.
And so now when you don't have him in the huddle, I mean, you may start thinking, okay, do I need to do something more? And that's the thing I think KJ's got to resist. I think Kendall will put him in a situation from a play calling standpoint that's going to allow him to be able to see things clearly. So even though I think you're going to miss Treylon Burks, and when you get in trouble, you will throw that football up, you may not do that as much. And so KJ is just going to have to resist some urges right there and just stay focused, run the game plan, go through his reads, and probably even do that even more now since he doesn't have a security blanket that potentially couldn't be out there.
Yeah, and what an opportunity for a Tyson Morris, for an opportunity for De'Vion Warren to reestablish himself, or maybe Trey Knox to say, hey, I deserve to be on that starting line. He wasn't on the depth chart yesterday as number one. I mean, one of these other receivers, without him out there, I don't know how many more catches that is, but I'm going to say 7 or 8, 10 more targets for somebody else that can be spread around.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity if Burks does not play. This is a great opportunity for some of those young wide receivers who are extremely hungry. And I agree. I think De'Vion Warren, last year he was very, very effective before he got hurt. I think he was really getting ready to hit his stride. So I'm excited to see him. Tyson Morris has just been steady Eddie. He'll just get out there, run his route, do what you need him to do, block. But guys like Ketron Jackson, and he's a big body guy, makes you see what he does. And Trey Knox, this is his opportunity. When Mike Woods left, this was his opportunity. So we'll see how he rebounds. But and the sneaky one for me is Jaquaylin Crawford. I think that the wide receiver that transferred from Oklahoma, he catches the ball well, and I'm watching him in spring. He ran his routes well. If he can just stay consistent, man, I think he can be a dynamic guy that's really going to help this Arkansas team. So you lose Burks, your best player, if he doesn't play, but I think this is a great opportunity, a great test run to see what you have in that wide receiver room.
Quinn, I want to share this story before we let you go. I'm in dinner with my dad last night, and he told me that at one point he met Ken Hatfield in Stuttgart, Arkansas. And he said he walked into this little restaurant that was no bigger than a shoebox, and he was waiting 10 or so minutes, and his seat still didn't open up. And Coach, he was sitting with another coach. He didn't recall his name. He said, "Young man, you want to come sit down?" And he said, and he was very perplexed. He was like, "Sure." And so Tommy, he goes over and sits down, and my dad starts off the conversation. "Well, Coach, I hope you're okay with sitting with the Baylor Bear." And Coach Hatfield's just like, "Oh, of course, Sonny, of course." And so Coach Hatfield, of all people, one of the most prominent people at Arkansas at the time, the head football coach, asked my dad if he wanted to sit down with him in a small restaurant in Stuttgart, Arkansas. And I'll leave that parting gift with you because I know there's probably 1,000 stories you could tell about Coach. We don't even have time for it with all the stories you could tell.
Well, that's my guy, and he's great for the University of Arkansas. He's been great for me, and I mean, people across the state love Ken Hatfield, and so I'm glad he's back here. I'm glad he's involved and just spending time, and so he impacted people every single day, and so Coach Hatfield is one of a kind, and I think, Ty, you guys are going to have him on your podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. We did. He came on with John David and myself on Huddle Up this past Sunday, and he was he was great, man. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah.
And those Martha Harp rolls, too, man. Wow. I mean,
oh, hey, he can sell them. he can flat out sell them.
Well, Quinn, we're looking forward to hearing from you and Chuck this Saturday, IMG pregame, and then as you guys kick off, and not just this game against Rice, but the rest of the season. Looking forward to hearing your insight on the game broadcast.
All right, man. Hope we can talk throughout the season. I always enjoy being on your show.
Hey, we know that rookie hazing's not supposed to be a part of a team environment. But
haze the absolute.
But do you have anything for Phil Elson, the newest member of the broadcast crew? Our guy Phil needs some rookie hazing coming up from you and Chuck.
Hey, Phil's going to be a great addition, and I promise you, trust me, we've got stuff for Phil.
All right.
I will make sure that you guys know what it is after we do it to him. And so it'll be great. But Phil's going to add a lot to that pregame show and the postgame show.
You can super glue his headset or do a variety of other things.
That would pull some skin off of his head.
We're all here for it, buddy.
All right, Quinn. Let's. I know maybe we can catch up with you for tech. I know everybody's going to want to talk to you Tex this week, but maybe we can get you for a few minutes that week. So.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Y'all just let me know.
All right, Quinn Grovey with us. We'll hear from you Saturday.